Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 80 of the All in Football Fantasy Premier League Show podcast. I am your host, the self-proclaimed FPL guru. And joining me today are my usual suspects of Barry Stokes and Scott Williams. Barry, how are you doing today?
Good, thank you. After my breakaway, even though my wife got sick, she got down with the all in football podcast flu that was going around. So yeah,
It got us all, mate. It got us all. Scott, how are you doing today? Are you happy to not be having to do all the talking?
Yeah, I mean, it was just left to me, wasn't it, to steer the sinking ship that was last week. But here we are again, full force, full lineup. Let's do it. Let's rock it.
Hilariously, we still got more views on last week than we did on the 2 weeks before that, and it had less time to go out. Maybe people like it. Maybe like it's just shorter. They don't like us waffling on.
I think it's because people hate me.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's a bit Welshist, isn't it?
It's either because people hate you or they absolutely love Scott hosting.
Probably not the hosting, so probably the hate of the Baz is more realistic, to be fair.
Today we'll be talking a few things football related whilst we're going through the teams that we should be looking at moving forward. And also we'll be looking at, we're reflecting on one of the most ridiculous game weeks just in history ever of FPL. I saw content creators getting 11 points this week. Like, it was just an absolute washout. And people's benches were amazing. Archer and Kabore returning, as well as Lascelles for some people who was on the bench. I mean, some benches got more points than people's entire teams together. I got 21 points and my bench got 19. So that was it was one of those weeks for everyone. I'll highlight a couple of the funny scores as we go through here in our league. But let's start with manager of the week. Payne in Diaz, very creative. Big fan of that one for Jack Tomlinson. The Tomlinson family are fantastic at FPL, it seems.
I feel like when it's a weird week, the Tomlinsons, they rise to the top, don't they?
They really do. I mean, this man had 22 points for Doku. I'm really annoyed that I used my permission to Doku title a while ago. This should have been the week, shouldn't it? But Becca calls him Becca. Allison with 6, Saliba with 2, Trippier with 9. So a good return for Trippier. Porro with 0. Saka, Son captain with 2 points. Decore, Madison, Doku, and then sat there with Isak, who got no points, and Haaland with 1. But yeah, it's just the week of he had Doku, so it worked out really well in terms of points. We don't normally do this because it's a little bit mean, but he sent a picture of himself really enjoying Marrakesh in our football group, and it just made me feel like I really needed to point out the person who got the worst score in our league this week was Dan Clark with a grand total of... He did 2 transfers this week. He did 2 transfers to get 15 points.
10 millionth in the world.
Yeah. One of the worst game weeks we've seen. Flecken in goal with 0. He got 15 points, by the way, podcast listeners. Flecken in goal for 0. Dini with 1. Cash with 0. Romero with -4 after he decided to assault Enzo Fernandez.
Should have got double sent off. Should have got -8.
I mean, he could kick Colwell and get away with it. But I mean, what's that about? Paul Beckham watched that back and thought, I got effigies for me for kicking Simeone. They said it was basically the same thing. Saka with 2. Bright, he had Mbuemo, who got a return as well. Madison with 1. Mitoma with 6. Alvarez with 2, and Haaland captain with 2, which I think everyone got bitten by, really.
He can't even say he was unlucky because that bench is crap as well, isn't it?
Got 5 points on his bench. It's just his total for his entire team, including his bench, was only 20. It's just, I mean, what a week for Dan Clark. Gotta give a really big, nice, chunky shout out to Adrian Chippendale's bench. We were talking about this before the show. You've got Palmer. You got to play the lad. I don't know who would have dropped. Probably one of the defenders, I'd have thought. Maybe Sue Fowl for Palmer. I don't know if he had a decent fixture this week. But we did talk about that. Without their central midfielders in place, we knew they'd concede a few goals this week, didn't we? West Ham is what we said. But 26 points for Adrian. But he did have a grand total of 27 on his bench. Unbelievable. It's just so you know, when everyone's sat there moaning about their own teams, I had this in the office today at work. People were moaning to me about their teams. I had a bad week. Everyone had a bad week. So let's not worry about it too much. Let's all move on. And it's a very good time to look at the fixtures. So, that's the FDR. Let's get the FDR up. So we're going to focus today on a few of the teams that look like they're having good fixture swings and turns moving forward. So noticeably, Arsenal's fixtures turn for the good now. We've got Crystal Palace's fixtures turning for the good. And there was somebody else that I was going to mention. Can't remember who it is. Probably West Ham. Might be somebody else. Who else has got good fixtures that didn't have them before, Baz? You help me out here. I know Everton.
Palace.
Yeah, Palace, I said, with Arsenal. Can't remember who else it was. But anyway, some good fixtures for other teams.
Brighton are looking good again, aren't they?
Yeah, Brighton have got some good fixtures as well. I was just thinking about ones that had turned this week. But yeah, notably Arsenal were the main team. I do want to start off by having the conversation about the Arsenal-Newcastle game while I get the statistics all up for the Arsenal team and we look at who we're going to pick moving forward. I'll come to you first, Scott. Because did you watch it?
Was it Saturday night?
Yeah.
No, but I watched it on Match of the Day.
You watch it live, Baz?
I did, yeah.
Okay, well, I'll go to you first then, Baz, because you watched it live, because you were in the feeling of the moment. What did you make of the Havertz, Mariah, the goal being disallowed? What did you make of the match itself, the decisions, and also of Arteta's lovely rant afterwards?
The game was quite feisty, and I don't know how it changed and turned to become that feisty of a game. I was quite shocked, but I think Newcastle contained the wide men for Arsenal very well. For me, Havertz's tackle, I think it's a yellow. I think he's tried to block the ball, but his trailing legs just caught him. It's one of them that attackers do. It's a lazy challenge trying to block the out ball, but that's that one. And Bruno with the forearm smash to the back of the head. I thought it was UFC. I was watching. I thought I turned over and Conor McGregor was on or something like that. But yeah, I don't know how he didn't get sent off for that. And unfortunately, Newcastle got some more injuries with Dan Burn, obviously with obviously the back injury. He's going to be out for at least 3 months. So, but the goal, it was that many different potential options it could have been. I think the ball was in. It's a foul. He's got 2 arms on the back of Gabriel. Yes, Gabriel's underneath the ball, but still, when you've got 2 arms outstretched like that, it blatantly looks like it's pushed. It might not be a limited contact, but it is. And probably Gordon's offside as well. So I think Arteta's right to do that, but not in the way he ranted on, shall we say. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the game, really.
Scott, your take on the decisions and I'll say Arteta after.
I mean, pre-VAR, that's a red card for Havertz. It's so easy for ref to give yellows now and just go, oh, well, I will look at VAR. I think that's just. I think as soon as I saw it, I messaged in our group when I was watching Match of the Day. I was like, "How is that not a red card? It looks so bad." I think that's just a red card any other time. The fact that it's gone for yellow and it's got to be a clear and obvious error just means that it's going to be less likely to be a red card. I just think pre-VAR that's given as a red. I think inconclusiveness with the going out and the offside. I think it's, the country didn't have the angle for the lines, whatever, and you've got to go with the on field, but hate to do it, but I agree with Baz for the foul. I think it's a foul. He pushes him twice in the back. I think for such a controversial goal, I'm just shocked VAR have just gone, there's 3 different reasons that this goal can be ruled out. We may as well pick one of them and then just move on. The fact that they did it, it is pretty crazy, but yeah, Arteta just showed some lack of maturity there for me. You've got someone like Ange that's come out and give a really good sort of press conference and explanation after the game. And don't get me wrong, he's probably going to always do that because Arteta's got some backlash and, he's North London rival. But I think it's just showed, especially when Arteta come out the other week and said about the Diaz goal and saying, everyone makes mistakes. Everyone, and then he's gone and had a go at him. So yeah, he's probably should have checked himself a little bit on that one, but it is what it is. We know there's a lot of emotion involved in football. But yeah, that seemed like a really feisty game, and I don't know, it seemed like a good one to watch.
Yeah, I feel like, just in my opinion, Bruno Guimaraes' most obvious red card ever. I feel like that was the thing. If I was Arteta, I'd be more annoyed about, because it's never conclusive that the ball's gone out. I don't know how in this day and age of VAR, after this is probably the third or fourth time this has happened now, with the ball, has it gone out? Has it not gone out? I remember the Pogba goal back 3 years ago when we played West Ham, and the ball like bent out from the keeper's kick, and I'm like, we've had this for ages now. You've got to have, and the thing that annoys me about it is that is a conclusive fact. So have it in place. It's a fact. It's ball's gone out or it's not. If you've got that in place, like, there's nothing in place to prove it, is there? So he can't really overturn it, but VAR should put that in place.
It just seems, why hasn't football got like Hawkeye to just have a little look? Maybe because the tennis court's a bit smaller than a pitch. I just think, well, if Hawkeye can see it's out, why can't they just put that into football? But then that obviously confuses probably the team in VAR, because they've got another thing to look at, maybe.
It's just a conclusive fact, isn't it? Balls in, balls out, done. So and then I mean, I think the foul's debatable. So I kind of get that they didn't overturn it, because he's dived to try head it, and you can see that he's dived to try head it, but then there are arms in his back, so you can you can it, whatever, and then you can't tell if it's offside or not, can you? Really? So but it was the Bruno one that I was he's hit him in the head. He's hit him. It's just literally, anyway, whatever. Yeah, and have some class, Arteta, I think, at the end of the day. I know you're passionate, mate, but then you've doubled down on it today. You know, and you just sound like a hypocrite, and I've never been your biggest fan of the world anyway, and I just find you kind of annoying. So I think that's the other reason for it there. But yeah, interesting game. Arsenal in terms of FPL assets. So they've got some really nice fixtures coming up. Next three are Burnley at home, Brentford away, and Wolves at home. So some nice fixtures, especially this Burnley at home game coming up. Quite clearly, Saka's the highest performing player for them in current times. Ben White showing some good numbers as well, 53 points to the second highest performing FPL asset. He's gone up from 5.5 to 5.7, and we thought he was overpriced at the beginning of the season, but he seems to be getting forward and delivering some opportunities. Eddie Nketiah has to be someone that we're considering. Do you know how long Jesus is out for, Baz? I don't know how long he's out for.
I don't know. I was going to ask the same question, to be honest. I don't know. I can have a quick little look.
Yeah, I don't know how long he's out for.
But I think it says
unknown.
Unknown, yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like it's going to be a while when it's unknown. So then you've got a £5.7 million striker, up for Arsenal, who, yeah, Eddie Nketiah is very
2nd of December.
So he's going to be in for a while. He's very hit and miss, Nketiah, but then sometimes he does pop up with some really good numbers.
The thing with Nketiah, with the fixtures he's got now, is a great asset to have, because he does well against the lower teams. Like, the teams are in green if you go and buy the FDR.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he seems like he hides in the big games for me. He's not like a big. He's not at that stage. He's like a backup striker to me. He's like a mid-table type of striker, like a Solanke, shall we say. But yeah, I think Nketiah is a good shout if you wanted, obviously, to. What's his ownership?
We are looking at, that was a good question that I was going to do, 10.4.
Okay, so bit of a differential, because most of the centre forwards is like Watkins and Haaland, so it could be another different one for someone.
It's just like 5-2-0 17-1. It's just is what you get, obviously. And he started 4 of the last 5. He started all games bar 2 for Arsenal this season in the league, so he seems to be relatively nailed. Scott, what do you think of Nketiah and other Arsenal assets that we could be looking at bringing into our team?
Yeah, and Nketiah is probably the one I'd want, to be honest with you. Saka's gone off the boil. What's happened to him? And Martinelli as well. Teams have found them out. To be quite honest, they know everything goes down them wings, everything goes through Saka and Martinelli, and he's just not really returned as much as you'd expect. Yes, there's a couple of big numbers in there, but I think on the eye test, for example, I don't think he's looked anywhere near as good as he did. I think tonight I'll be interested in the Champions League. They've got a game against Seville, I believe.
Yes.
So that'll be interesting. If they bounce back there, they're at home tonight. You'd expect them to get that. It's a tricky game, but you expect them to win. They bounce back, they might take then some form into that Burnley game. They don't want to be slipping up tonight on the hangover of that Newcastle game, because then they can start really sort of flapping about. So yeah, Saka's one, but again, he's not someone that I don't have him. Not had him for a long time. He's not someone I'm rushing particularly to get back right now. That midfield at the minute, you've got a lot of good mid price options that really does free you up. For me, I'd be still keeping all of my Bowens, my Anthony Gordons, that kind of players, to be completely honest.
What do you think? Because this is a decision the pod team's got, for example, this week, and I think a lot of people do. If Madison's always got a knock, he's always got a flag, hasn't he? But would you be looking at potentially moving a Spurs asset to a Saka, or would you be sticking with Spurs? I know they haven't got the easiest fixtures moving forward.
No, they've got Man City at some point coming up. I know that.
Wolves away, Villa at home. The Man City
yeah,
away.
it's tricky games. I think if I'm sat there with Madison on the flag right now with Son, I'd be looking at getting rid of Madison, definitely. I think that's too much money locked up. But again, I'm probably just going to double down on what I just said a second ago. If I've not got a Jarrod Bowen, am I going to go Bowen over Saka? 100% I'm going Bowen over Saka. Anthony Gordon, Bournemouth away next game, maybe not so much. But I would definitely be looking at Bowen, and potentially, if you just scroll up for me, please, mate. Potentially even like a Diaby. I know, again, he's quite a frustrating player, is Diaby. He always looks like he's going to get you like 10 points and then just doesn't seem to somehow. But again, he looks really good. So no, I would rather go for Jarrod Bowen.
I think Bowen's definitely the buy. I think from my perspective, like your Villa players now with Spurs away, Bournemouth away, and their away form versus their home form is very different. The home form, they've won every game at home. So Fulham at home is a great fixture for them. But then the next two are both away games that aren't that great. And Bournemouth are a fine team to play. But then they have City and Arsenal. Then they have Brentford away. I think like your Villa players right now are definitely a hold. Obviously, they've got Fulham at home. But then it's like your Gordon's a hold. But I don't know if I'd look to buy them.
I'm getting that. So therefore, I'm looking down and I'm like, I'll probably rather get like a Brighton asset in. I know they've been hit and miss this season, but I think I'd rather want a Mitoma in. Again, he returned last game week. He still looks bright for him. Probably would rather do that.
I know the man that Baz is thinking about. I can read his mind already about who he'd be thinking about bringing in. And he plays for Crystal Palace, and his name is 3 letters long.
Yeah, Eze is back, isn't he? Yeah.
Baz
exactly.
loves Eze.
You know me too.
You
knew it. Yeah, I was planning my fixtures. I was like, right, Son's out this week for me, and I'm actually going Saka because them fixtures, I don't want to be punished by people who's got Saka and I haven't got him. I got semi-punished by not having Bowen. I jumped on the Bowen wagon. I think he was probably him and Trippier was the only point scorers for me this week. So that's why I'm going for Saka. And then the next week I'm going Diaby out, Eze in. Easy. Depending on obviously other injuries and stuff like that. Because Cash is out. I did the rookie mistake of doing my transfer far too early. Maybe because wife was in hospital and I thought, right, I best do it before I forget. And I put a stupid Yanni who was obviously out. So, but yeah, it's one of the things. And pre-planning your transfers, as we talk about, is good. But as Scott mentions, don't be blindsided by obviously the greens every time. It's like pick players in form. And obviously Bowen's in form and Saka's not. So if I didn't have Bowen, I probably would go Son to Bowen probably.
It's funny you
and
say
free up that money.
It's funny you say Saka's not, because I mean, like the game against Newcastle, it's only his second time he's played a game this season. He's not returned. And the other time was against Crystal Palace when they won 1-0 in game week 2. I know he didn't play against City, but he has returned in each. I do actually agree with Scott on the eye test, though. So Saka's points this season have been 10-3, 8-4, 6, 13, 9, 0 in play, 5, 6, and then 2. So he's returning, and he's 50.8% owned. His form's 4.3. His fixtures look good. He's probably someone you should own. But when I watch Arsenal, the last few games, even they beat Sheffield United 5-0, he only got 1 assist in that game. I don't know. And his numbers in that game, his XG was 0 and his assists were 0.06.
With that, though, you could argue Salah hasn't really looked good on the eye test, to be honest.
I don't think Salah looks good on the eye test a lot, but Salah always delivers.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
it's one of them. Yeah, it's great. Obviously, Diaby and Szoboszlai look great on the eye, just not very good on FPL. So it's at the end of the day, it's all about luck, innit? If you drop on that player at the right time, great. Like obviously Scott dropped on Bowen really well, and obviously everyone's catching up and going, "Oh, all right, we need to get Bowen in." So, and also another thing about Tottenham is all these injuries. Are you going to keep them players because they might go a bit more? Well, they're not going to go more defensive with Ange in charge, but they're going to be potentially more leaky in defense. So that's another thing in the equation why I'm thinking of getting rid of a Tottenham player.
Yeah, I think I'm probably bringing Saka in for Maddison this week, especially if he's injured. But I do take the point because when I do watch them at the moment, the last sort of 3 games I've watched them, I've been like, oh, where is Saka? Like, it doesn't feel like he's doing as well. Talking about Spurs assets and selling Spurs assets, did we all watch the greatest Monday Night Football of all time? What a game!
Crazy game.
I don't really want to dissect all the decisions because we've already had a joke about Romero and this, that, and the other, and obviously Udogie got. I don't know.
We could do quick fire.
I mean, we all.
Well, there's that
Romero...
many. There's all that many to pick. Could pick up here for a while with quick fires.
But what did we make of the Postecoglou high line? Let's go for it. Great game of football. Scott, what did you think?
I think I mean, it was obviously doing it all sort of game, wasn't it? I feel like when I went down to 9 men, it's a pretty smart decision because against 9 men, it doesn't really matter who you are. You're gonna if you just play sort of a regular line, you're gonna end up just creating chance after chance after chance. So I think it's just like play the numbers game. With VAR now, it's just a lot easier to play those risky offside traps. I remember when I used to watch football before VAR and teams used to play teams offside, I used to think that was so risky because you're relying on the linesman to have a really good eye, linesperson, to have a really good eye and catch them. Whereas now, if you do your offside trap, regardless of whether the linesperson gives it or not, if you've got them offside, they're going to be offside at some point. So I did like it. I thought Vicario was fantastic, I must say. Like, I think he's been good all season. I've had him in the draft team all season, and we've said it a few times, they do create a lot of chances against them, the Spurs, but they've got a keeper now that for me is up there with Alisson and Edison. He's in the top 3 keepers in the Premier League for me. I think he's fantastic. His shot saving is brilliant, and his sweeper keeperness on Monday was amazing. And it was just really interesting just to see that kind of tactic as well going forward. And do you know what? There were 10 minutes to a fantastic point. I will just say if they kept into 10 men, I think they win the game. They looked a better team with 10 men. They came out that second half of the game plan and looked really, really good. So it was a ridiculous challenge from Udogie. Ridiculous. Just so much naivety there shown from him. And he's been brilliant this season, I must say. But yeah, interesting. Never going to probably see a game of football like that for another 10 years. So yeah, it's always good when those kind of things come around.
Yeah, and with Tottenham as well, with losing near enough all the back four was quite crazy as well. You don't really see that. Like Van der Ven pulls up, Romero has his bad moment. I don't know why someone doesn't get their arm around Romero. He's just got lucky with obviously the kick out. Why doesn't someone just go calm down, mate. Calm
It's,
down. Van de Ven.
he's proper turned it around this season as well, hasn't he? He's been like
Yeah.
really like composed and stuff. It's kind of like maybe after the World Cup, he's just kind of gone, yeah, World Cup
World
winner
Cup
now.
winner.
Yeah.
I'll chill, but it's Jekyll and Hyde, isn't he?
Do you, not
Yeah.
find, do you not find that that's something that they probably need to work on, like Spurs? I mean, there's the narrative that they've had easy games so far this season, and that it was obviously something that was put in our group, and that was something that was talked about. Do you not think there's a naivety? What do you make of Spurs and their chances moving forward?
I still think they've got a good chance. I like how he plays. At the end of the day, that's him. That's how he plays. And unfortunately, if you don't like it, yeah, he's going to potentially lose some games. But playing on the front foot, it's like the old Gladko theory. We're going to score more goals than you. At the end of the day, I think Chelsea didn't understand how to play it. You have deep runners from obviously deep to beat their high line, because if you're running just literally on the outside, as Scott mentioned, VAR's just going to flag it and go, he's offside. And obviously with the attacking players that obviously Tottenham got, I know Richarlison's out now, so but obviously he hasn't looked himself anyway, and Son playing up forward, centre forward as well. And the link up with Madison and Kulusevski, it's looked really good. And obviously Johnson's obviously played a good part in it as well. And they're just playing to their strengths, obviously. And Scott mentioned about Vicario, obviously, I think it was 77.8% of the shots he saved. So it's a very good shot stopper. He's not obviously as good as Allison and Edison with his feet, but if you want a goalkeeper that saves shots, unlike an honour, then you've got him, Vicario. Who would have thought? When Tottenham signed him, we were like, "Who is this keeper?" And then obviously now we're like, "Oh, he looked a bit ropey against Brentford," and now we're like, "Oh, he's quality. Can't fault him, to be honest."
Scott, what do you think of the Spurs narrative? I know you're a bit of a Spurs second team fan this season, just because of the way they're playing and they've been fun to watch. They now have no Dogi, they now have no Romero, they haven't got Van de Ven, they've got some difficult fixtures coming up. That helps make them a selling FPL as well, doesn't it? I don't know what's going on with my camera, by the way, so sorry.
That's right. That's all right. I've been there, mate. Yeah, I've been a bit of a second Spurs team for a good number of years, actually. I've especially sort of in the Harry Redknapp era and stuff like that. I feel like they've always had quite exciting players. They've been not an exciting team to watch the last few years, but that's certainly come back with Ange, which has been great. Yeah, I think from an FPL perspective, you're probably not going to be having too many of them. We've already mentioned Madison. I'll be keeping Son for now, absolutely. As someone, but yeah, FPL wise, you won't want any defenders anyway, and your attacking options are a bit limited. It was really interesting. There's only 3 outfield players that actually started the game for Spurs that finished the game, which is an incredible statistic. Obviously, one we couldn't have in past years because you have 5 substitutes now. But yeah, they've really got someone like an Eric Dyer now has to come back in and show what a player he can be and why he was at World Cups for England. Because he's going to be a big player for him for a few weeks now. People like what I would say is, and I think they were mentioning this on the commentary, like the mentality was really, really good. Those players that stayed on the pitch, even the players like Skip that came on, those sort of players, they gave everything, didn't they? And it was something that he's a manager which I feel like you'd run through brick walls for. He's just that kind of guy. And you could see that. And like when we talk about, I think Spurs have got a chance. I don't think Baz is talking about the Championship. I think we're talking top 4, which I think will be a good season for Spurs.
Oh yeah,
to see where they've come from last year, and they've lost the best player. So yeah, I don't think anyone was really thinking the Championship was a realistic achievement this season. But to get top 4, maybe get a cup run, I think that'd be really good for him.
Yeah. The overrated Harry Kane as well with 3 hat-tricks so far for Bayern. Terrible, isn't he?
Farmers League, though, isn't it?
Terrible, isn't it? Joke league. Yeah, I think that's it's also making me just sort of edge away from Spurs at the moment for FPL. I agree with you on that one, Scott. I don't really briefly on Chelsea. And no, Callum, to your question that you sent, I can't say Nic Jackson without singing Outcast generally. Because I am sorry, Nic Jackson, you are still not very good. You scored a hat trick. What do you make of him? I mean, Palmer returned again. He's on penalties. We've got 4 games here. We're obviously not going to buy any Chelsea assets for, but then from game week 16 to like 22, their fixtures are insane. So, yeah, how does the Poch Chelsea feel to you, Scott?
Yeah, I mean, you're not touching them a barge pole for the next few weeks. They're still messy. They still feel messy to me. I feel like someone needs to cleanse them. They bought, we said this, they bought too much, and just threw it at a wall to make it stick. So yeah, they obviously had a big call in there somewhere. But yeah, you still haven't got a structure. You still don't kind of know who's sort of going to be playing week in, week out. The only player, and you've mentioned him there, and we've talked about him prior, with a work colleague, is Palmer. He does look a little bit special, a little bit of someone that is going to give them something a bit different. He's on penalties, like you say. His penalties have been really, really good as well. He's great at just finding that ball in between the lines when it's tight, and he's obviously learned that at City, because a lot of teams set up like that against City. Two banks of 4. You've really got to find that thread through needle ball that he's probably learned from like a Bernardo Silva, De Bruyne, that kind of player. So he'd be one to keep an eye on, and I think from an FPL perspective, he's good value as well. But I won't be going anywhere near anyone else.
Yeah, game week 16 onwards. I would like Sterling on 16 onwards because they're playing rubbish teams, so they're going to deliver.
Also, Nkunku's potentially going to be back on the 25th of November, so that could be a potential option for people. And obviously, Scott rates him highly. So that could be Nicholas Jackson pushed out, shall we say? He could be an outcast.
Thanks, Baz. I'm sorry, Nic Jackson, you are now an outcast. Very good. I like that. That might be the title of a pod. So I might work that in somehow. Even though he scored a hat trick, how means that? If off an XG of like 106 or something, but still, there you go.
Yeah.
So let's move on to Crystal Palace, because I think we need to talk about those guys. Everton at home, Luton away, West Ham away, and then Bournemouth at home. They've got a nice run here of 3 out of 4 fixtures that are pretty good, and they just need a little bit of attention from us, because we spent a lot of time talking about Villa and Brighton and this, that, and the other. These teams have got decent runs. Let's look at Palace. Couple of really key questions for you. If you're looking at a defender, are you spending the 5.1 on Anderson, or are you going for the Gahey Mitchell 4.6, 4.5? Quick fire. What are you doing?
Save money and go for Gahey or Mitchell.
Mitchell's 4.6, Anderson 5.1. Gay, Scott?
Yeah, Mitchell, even though he made me throw up because I had him as my third player in draft this week. So that was fun. Great finish by him, though.
Yeah, he's got his very rare moment. Anderson's got double his XG, double his goals, and also, but they've got 1 assist each, so it's fair enough. I think, yeah, I probably would go Mitchell, 4.6. That's the guy. Johnston, would you be considering him as a goalkeeping option? I've got the lovely potential Flecken injury and Turner now being dropped, and I know a few people have got potentially goalkeeper injuries moving forward or issues. Is Johnston someone you would potentially consider?
100%. Yeah, I had him in the differential draft, and wow, he gets bonus points. And Palace are very solid at the back as well. He makes saves, and at 4.6, I think it's a good shrewd buy. But then you go in double defense on Palace. Is it? But if you haven't got any Palace defense, then yes, 100% get him in. I think he's the highest points for goalkeeper. I'm sure it is.
It's very, very close. If not, I know he's right at the top with his 49 points so far this season. We'll check that statistic. I agree. Edouard, 4 goals, no assists. Jordan Ayew's got a goal and 3 assists. But we're looking at Eze here with 1 goal and 2 assists.
He's joint top with Alisson.
Is it? There you go.
Yeah.
Alisson classic. Top
And
of
then
goalkeeper points.
Leno at 46.
Well, that's why you go with the Fulham keeper. That's what you do. He's
Double Fulham. Double
double
Fulham
Fulham.
defence.
Couldn't keep Bruno out there, could they? Eventually. Poor Scott McTominay. He deserved his goal. Bloody Harry Maguire stretching for the ball. But yeah, Eze's the option, 6.1 million. Do we look at anybody else, lads? Again, quite a quickie.
Edouard.
You'd look at Edouard?
Yeah.
I'd look at him and then quickly look away.
Baz, Edouard, sell him to me because I'd do a Scott.
Well, we're looking at the goal threats here. You've got Edouard, Jordan Ayew, and Eze. They've had a lot of shots. He's got 4 goals already for a non-attacking Palace team who haven't really had Elise, who's potentially back, and Eze. They're the creative players. So if you're going to put the creative players in there and Edouard up front, who hopefully can get to his Celtic days where he was scoring goals for fun. Yes, it's a farmers league, but if he can do that, he's scored 4 already at 5.5 million. Well, is a good upgrade for an archer if you've got 1 million in the bank. So yeah,
fair enough. Like the sell, Baz. Oh, Scott looked like he was about to say something then.
I was just about to say,
probably disagreeing with me, probably.
Well, I mean, massively disagree. Yeah, he's just not a good person at playing football for me.
Yeah, but what other strikers are out there?
I'm keeping Archer on there. Like, there's no need to get rid of him for me. It's a waste. It feels like a waste of a transfer.
I think for team structure, I'd probably keep.
He's just rigid to 9 points. Is Jeffrey Archer?
But yeah,
can I just say, Jordan Ayew needs more of a mention because he's the greatest signing Palace have ever made. What Roy Hodgson said?
I think he did say
Yeah,
that.
well,
Didn't
they
he?
could have signed Haaland.
No, it could have done, but it didn't. So Jordan Ayew is the next best thing to Haaland.
I do think, though, in terms of Jordan Ayew, just to really have his back here, he's very key to that Palace team.
He's like a he's a Firmino to that Liverpool team. That was brilliant. Yeah, I agree.
He's never an FPL asset in a million years,
No.
but you love him in your team.
Yeah.
Like he works really hard.
Mm.
I love his.
He's a draft player.
I'd have been draft last year for a few weeks. We didn't get on. He left.
Man United. Let's do it. Luton at home, supposedly one of the best fixtures of the season, followed by Everton away. So they've got 2 good fixtures here, followed by a couple of harder ones. I've talked about them a little bit more because you guys are not Man United fans, whereas I am. Is it all doom and gloom here? Are we looking at a team devoid of ideas? Really struggling on the way down. Don't know what they're doing, or are we looking at it's not actually all that bad? They defended pretty well against Fulham, and they just need to sort themselves out front of goal. What are we thinking? What's your take on Man United, Baz?
Well, say last 5 Premier League games, right? Liverpool 1-2, drawn 2, lost 1, 8 points. Title challenges. Man United's apparently a crisis. They've won 3, lost 2, 9 points. Man City won 3, lost 2, 9 points, coasting to the title. And then Brighton, drawn 3, lost 2. Everyone's like, oh, De Zerbi's doing a great job. Yes, I still think they're winning ugly, but they're winning. Yes, I wouldn't jump on any of the FPL assets, to be honest. Like, no one's really performing. They're scraping the 1-0 wins and maybe like a 2-1 or something like that. But defensively, as you mentioned, they're looking pretty good, even with Onana in goal, who I think he's passed his stuff on to Martinez, who like fumbled his Mangala's goal in.
Best keeper in the world, apparently.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, yeah. But yeah, I think with that, I think I'd be probably looking at a Man United defense option. Like a Wan-Bissaka, maybe even Maguire. He looked really well, even though he should have been subbed because I do think he would potentially concuss if Ange would have subbed him because he subbed Romero. So, but yeah, I think Man United defensively, it looks good again, but that's it for me on them.
Scott?
I couldn't disagree with that more. three clean sheets all season. That's 11 games. That's not great. I feel like there is times where Nana has made some impressive saves, which has kept that goal tally down as well. I still think they look shaky at the back. They don't look assured for me. They're only playing with one holding midfield player now, which has been proved over the last season and a half. Just doesn't work for Man United. They need two in there. No Casemiro now for a while as well. Scott McTominay has been the shining asset for the last few weeks. I must say, he's really impressed me. But yeah, just I've just looked at the results, and I know they've all been. I know the wins have been close this season, but they've not won a game by more than one goal. That's crazy. And every game they've lost, apart from one, has been by 2 goals or more. So yeah, I think they're really bad. I wouldn't be going anywhere near Man United defensive assets. Yes, I've got Man United defender in my fantasy team, but that's because he was 4 million, and it's Johnny Evans. It's banter, isn't it? Is he starting this week? Yes, he is, because he's starting ahead of Raphael Varane. Don't know what's happened there.
He's not fit. He's not fit. This is what's doing my head about Man United at the moment. They're just not fit. Like Varane, Shaw, Martinez, Casemiro. They're 4 of our starting players every week.
They're a pretty
structure.
They're a crap team to watch at the minute.
Yeah, probably.
Man U Chelsea. I probably won't watch that.
What I find difficult is that we've won games close, and we've also lost a couple of games that were pretty close. Like we were basically the width of Garnacho's nose hair off beating Arsenal at the Emirates, and and then obviously I know we lost 3-1 at the end, but that goal to put us 2-1 up was so close. But yeah. I mean, I think if I was going to look at an attacking asset for a couple of weeks for a punt, yeah, Bruno Fernandes is involved in everything that we do. Probably would look at having a punt on him. He's by far our top point scorer this season. And then we've got defensively, we can look. Hi, Gracie D. And then defensively, yeah, I mean, I'd look at potentially a Dallo or a Wan-Bissaka. Why not? For a couple of weeks against the two teams that we're playing against, who aren't great attacking wise, why not for a punt? Yeah, wouldn't keep them for forever though.
Yeah, well, it's gone to that one again. It's like, oh, we're playing Luton. Let's get defenders in. Luton score against everyone, it seems, and just kills everyone's clean sheet. So I don't think they're the one that needs to be sort of slept on or anything like that. Luton are annoying.
Luton and Everton are the two teams that have struggled.
Yeah, I also think that Everton away fixture is going to be tricky for them. They seems like they've turned the corner, Everton.
Yeah, I think that strikes me as a 0-0 draw, probably, or something like that. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I think I really don't mind every team. Bruno Fernandes has been an annoying player to not have this season at times. You know, he still managed to get 52 points, and he scored 3 goals, got 2 assists. He seems to get bonus every time he returns. So yeah, I don't.
Can I just to go back really briefly, just to call myself out on something? I mentioned that Arsenal. Sorry, not Arsenal. Chelsea Spurs would probably be a bit of a boring game. I'll just let that linger.
I was going to clip it, but I just didn't have time. Put it on our socials of Scott Williams saying that game would be a boring game. But I think we've covered most of the teams there. Let's have a look at the fixtures for the weekend, and we'll then do our differential draft. And we'll get Gracie D to pick a captain option for the week. And Ivan Toney can't play. Gracie can't play. Gracie D.
Hey, not long till he's back though.
I know.
Playing in a Chelsea shirt.
Yeah, probably 100 mil. Easy. No problem at all for Mr. Bowley. So deadline is 11 o'clock on Saturday, the 11th of November. Remembrance Day. Remembrance Sunday on the 12th. Wolves against Spurs is the early kickoff. Then we've got Arsenal against Burnley. Palace, Everton, Man U, Luton, and then Bournemouth, Newcastle's the Saturday evening game. Then we've got Villa, Fulham, Brighton, Sheffield United, Liverpool, Brentford, West Ham, Forest, and Chelsea City. The last two are on telly. Boys, plenty of good options for captaincy this week, I think. Baz, would you like to let us know who you think should be captain?
Saka for me.
Looking at Saka against Burnley. Scott? Other options for you?
Yeah, so I would be looking at Mohamed Salah for my captaincy choice against definitely a inconsistent Brentford team. Or Jared Bowen. But he's better away from home, isn't he?
Yeah, weirdly, yeah. But still at home to Forest is a really good fixture. Yeah, I think you've got Bowen, you've got Salah, you've got potentially even a Watkins, you've got Brighton as well, a playing Sheffield United. You could have a punt on any of their assets. I probably wouldn't, but you could. Newcastle playing Bournemouth. Newcastle still look like a top team. You could go for any of the Newcastle assets if you wanted to go. I mean, Wilson's probably going to start up front. Gordon's been returning. A lot of these are longer shots, but it's probably between Saka, Watkins, Bowen, and Salah this week, I'd have thought. And yeah, I think Salah is where I'm probably going to go this week.
Now this will be when Haaland scores a hat trick, and those people that forgot to change the captaincy get loads of points. Fantasy football.
They do, mate. I hate fantasy football at times for that reason. Exactly. Right, I think what we need to do whilst Baz is being distracted by his lovely daughter is do the differential draft. Because Baz is overtaking. He's overtaken me in the lead of this as Baz. Oh, he's got rid. She's to keep distracting you, mate. Where's she going?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, gotta keep focus.
You got to keep focus. So, and you talk about keeping focus. I'm the guy that's going first this week. So, let's get cracking, shall we?
You're going first this week. Did you lose?
Did I not lose?
Yeah, got 9 points.
I lost it. I had a terrible week this week.
Sam Johnson got 9 points with Baz on his own.
Honestly, mate, I had an absolutely shocking week. It
I
was
could have got 7, so for you, Scott.
That's always a fun start.
Kulozeski.
Oh yeah. I was in the radio on the way. I listened to the first half an hour on the radio on the way back from Leeds that game, and it said Cooley. I was like, finally done something in my little fun that we have as a group of friends.
I'm going to go for
Hurry up, Alex.
Evan Ferguson. Sorry, Evan Ferguson. 7.9%.
Fair enough, mate.
Thanks.
As far as it's me next. Let's go for. Sorry, I wasn't ready.
Oh, you asked me to hurry up.
Got cocky. I just want to win one of these weeks. Yeah, let's go for this person. Let's go for. It's annoying. He's just over 5%. Martinelli.
Okay. Baz?
Gordon. Gives me under 10.
I'll go for Eze, 3.2%.
I'm gonna go for Hoyland.
I'm gonna go for Edward.
I'm gonna go for Kudus at 0.8%.
Fair play.
That came round faster than you thought, Scott.
Yeah, I'm really annoyed at that actually. Are you starting games? Minutes played 22. No, you're not.
Look at you starting games.
I was looking at Ansu Fati.
Yeah, I did consider him, to be fair.
Oh, it's sad he's not starting games. Do I take a punt on you? Oh no, you play Man City. What an idiot. I can't be bothered to go for Trafford again. I go for him every week.
He's your go-to under 1% every week.
He really is. He's such a rat. Is it 1 and under or under 1?
1 and under.
1 under.
1 and under. Right, we'll go for let's go for Cunha then.
Who?
Cunha? Matthias Cunha? Wolves?
He's
Wolves forward?
He's not even on Baz's list.
No, well, you've already picked Hoyland.
Oh yeah, you get one striker, don't you?
Brilliant, love this.
I love how you went, who? Just say I made a mistake, mate. That's all you had to do. Right, let's go for you then. Let's go for...
to make sure you were correcting yourself.
Mikolenko, baby.
I'm going for Sam Johnson, goalkeeper.
Yeah, I thought you'd go for him next because I was going to go for him next. So I'm going to go for Dallo as my defender at 2.9.
No idea where I'm up to now. I'm not going to lie.
Goalkeeper midfielder.
On the five for on the five for both.
Midfielder, mate. They're fake. I think have you picked all your midfielders, Baz?
No, I've got defender and midfielder.
All right, I'm going to go for. Let's go for this. I mean, that'll annoy Baz. I think. Let's go for Eze.
I've already picked.
He's already been taken.
Let's go for Doku.
Permission to Doku. And this is why Scott's a man of the people. And I'm going to go.
Whoa. I'm going for my under one. I'm going for Livramento.
Nice. David Raya for me, keeper.
And I've got a keeper on the 5. I'm going to go for Sam Johnson. Kidding. Yeah, you just said Raya, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that correctly. Cool. Let's go for you. Don't play for Wolves.
You've literally only got like one keeper. You go for it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
You got Steele or Verbergen.
It's the Brighton gamble, isn't it? Again, for you've had this before.
I know. I could go for Liverpool away and sit Starkowski in there, whatever his name is.
Strakowski. Yeah.
Jose Sa, who they playing? Spurs.
You're back.
I'll go Jose Sa.
You're backing Wolves here. You were trying to get Cunha in your team.
Right, I'll go for Kulusevski.
I've got Cunha in my team, haven't I? Oh no, I've got Højlund in.
Right, so Scott.
Away. Yeah, I've done terrible again. I know.
Yeah, but you're probably still going to pick. You're probably still going to pick. You probably win the pick though on the story.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So I've got Raya, Dallo, Kudus, Eze, and Ferguson.
Johnston, Livramento, Gordon, Kulusevski, and Edouard.
You're gonna have to read mine out, mate.
It's all right. Sam, Mikalenko, Martinelli, Doku, and Højlund.
Oh yeah, that's gonna win the vote. People are gonna allow that.
They're gonna love it.
Get off.
Baz is getting told off.
See, I didn't pick Tony. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Right, lads. I think that draws it to a close this week. I'm just going to double check and make sure we haven't missed any points because there's a couple of questions that came in. I just want to make sure that we've covered them all. Kabore to Baldock to save 0.2 million for a -4. No, but
That's
no, Callum.
the worst decision anyone would ever make on fantasy football.
Callum, you're doing so well this season. And you send these funny questions in. I've got to filter through the ones that were a joke to try and find the good ones. Who's closest to price changes? Just so you know, in price changes, download the Fantasy Fix app because they over predict who's going to change price most normally. But Fantasy Fix, Football Fix, is a good app to use for predicting price changes. And yeah, I think that's about it. Scott, thank you so much for joining me this week.
You're welcome.
Barry, thank you to you and Gracie G for joining us this week.
No worries, thank you. And she says thank you, not get off.
No, thank you. Don't forget to follow us on our usual platforms, Oliver Pod, Oliver P, on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. Don't forget to give us 5 stars, nice rating, and then subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Join our other 30+ subscribers that we've got now. Give us a like on the video, and yeah, send us in your comments and let us know what you think. And thank you ever so much for joining us. 11 o'clock deadline on Saturday, and that's goodbye for now.